very much. We will just read for the record the speech, and then we'll take questions. So today we table the 2026-2027 budget vote of the Gauteng Department of Education here at the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, outlining our priorities, commitments, and strategic interventions aimed at strengthening public education across the province. This statement serves as a preview of our budget vote and provides an early outline of some of the major areas of intervention. The full details, including program-specific allocations, district-level implementation plans, and comprehensive policy directions will be outlined in the formal budget vote speech. This year's budget vote is tabled under the theme, "It takes a village to raise a child," a theme that reflects our firm belief that education is not the responsibility of government alone, but a collective societal duty. We continue to hold the view that parents, communities, civil society, labor, business, and all sectors of society must play an active role in shaping the future of our children. As a Gauteng Department of Education, we remain responsible for one of the largest education systems in South Africa. Gauteng currently serves over 2.86 million learners across 3,320 schools, with over 2.82 million learners enrolled in ordinary schools and 46,421 learners in special schools. Of these, over 2.43 million learners are in public schools. These numbers reflect both the scale of our constitutional responsibility and the growing pressure on our education system. We continue to face enormous challenges arising from rapid in-migration, urbanization, overcrowding, infrastructure backlogs, and growing learner demand, particularly in township, informal settlements, and inner city schools. These pressures require us to think differently about education delivery, infrastructure planning, and long-term sustainability. To respond to these challenges, we increased the department's budget from 68 billion in 2025-2026 to 70.9 billion in 2026-2027, representing an increase of 2.9 billion or 4.3%. This increase allows us to strengthen key interventions whilst maintaining our focus on quality, access, and equity. Our budget priorities for this financial year are anchored on our strategic pillars. Firstly, we continue to strengthen early childhood development as the foundation of educational success. The department allocates 994 million towards expanding access to grade R, improving child readiness, and ensuring that no learner enters formal schooling without the necessary foundational support. We recognize that the battle for educational success begins long before grade 1. Secondly, we intensify interventions aimed at improving learner outcomes across all schooling phases. To this end, we allocate 1.2 billion towards improving performance in critical areas such as mathematics, science, technology, reading development, and technical education. The department continues to implement focused interventions to improve literacy, numeracy, and subject performance, particularly in gateway subjects. Thirdly, we continue with the modernization of the education landscape to address overcrowding and infrastructure backlogs. The department allocates 2.7 billion towards infrastructure investment and a broader 3.7 billion towards education modernization initiatives, including school reorganization, district support, principal development, and the expansion of schools of specialization. These interventions remain critical in changing the physical and structural conditions under which teaching and learning takes place. We are fully aware that infrastructure remains one of the biggest constraints facing public education in Gauteng. While these allocations will not resolve all historical backlogs immediately, they represent an important step towards easing overcrowding and improving learning conditions in some of our most affected communities. Fourthly, we remain committed to building safer schools and stronger communities. The department allocates 3.3 billion towards learner wellness, psychosocial support, anti-drug programs, school health intervention, sports, arts, and cultural development. We understand that learning cannot thrive where violence, bullying, trauma, gangsterism, and substance abuse are left unattended. Safe schools remain non-negotiable. The department also continues to benefit from 3.9 billion in conditional grants which will support infrastructure delivery, school nutrition, early childhood development, mathematics, science and technology, HIV and AIDS, life skills education, and support for learners with profound intellectual disabilities. These grants strengthen our ability to provide targeted interventions for vulnerable learners. As a labor-intensive sector, the department continues to invest significantly in human capital. The compensation of employees' budget now stands at 54.6 billion, constituting 77.1% of the total departmental budget. This reflects our commitment to retaining and supporting the educators, therapists, specialists, and support staff who remain the backbone of our education system. We also continue to invest in innovation and institutional capacity through our entities. The department allocates 288 million to the Saibono Discovery Center and 383 million to the Matthew Goniwe School of Leadership and Governance to strengthen science, education, innovation, leadership development, and educator capacity building. This statement provides only a glimpse into the broader vision, priorities, and interventions that we table in the legislature today. The full budget vote speech will provide a detailed breakdown of our strategy, implementation plans, and long-term commitments to transform education in Gauteng. Through this budget vote, we reaffirm our commitment to building a public education system that is inclusive, equitable, safe, and responsive to the realities of our people. We remain convinced that education is the most powerful instrument through which we can confront poverty, inequality, and unemployment, and through which we can build a more prosperous Gauteng. Gauteng budget vote for sports, arts, culture, and recreation and heritage will follow. I think you want me to read it as well at once. Maybe let me just read everything and then you can ask, because these are two different budgets. Is that fine? Yeah. As we table the 2026-2027 budget vote of the Department of Sports, Arts, Culture, and Recreation, we take this opportunity to provide the people of Gauteng with an early glimpse into the priorities, interventions, and investment that will define our work in the year ahead. This preview offers an outline of the department's strategic direction ahead of the full budget vote, where we will provide detailed account of program implementation, financial allocations, and the broader policy framework guiding our work. This statement, therefore, serves as an initial reflection of our priorities while the full details will be presented in the legislature. The work of sport, arts, culture, recreation, and heritage remains central to the social and economic life of Gauteng. Through these sectors, we build communities, preserve memory, nurture talent, and unlock economic opportunities for thousands of people. The department continues to view these sectors not as secondary functions of government, but as critical instruments for development, social cohesion, and transformation. This financial year carries profound historical significance. We commemorate the 50th anniversary of June 16, 1976, student uprisings, the 70th anniversary of the historic Women's March to the Union Buildings, and the 30th anniversary of our democratic constitution. These milestones serve as powerful reminders of the sacrifices that build our democracy and the responsibility we carry to deepen freedom, equality, and social justice in our time. For the 2026-2027 financial year, the department is allocated a total budget of 1.055 billion. This budget is made up of 719.4 million from the provincial equitable share and 336.3 million in conditional grants. These allocations allows us to sustain our core programs while responding to the growing social and economic demands placed on our sector. Within this budget, the department allocates 303.8 million towards goods and services, 301.8 million towards transfers and subsidies, and 39 million towards capital investments. These allocations will strengthen public institutions, support municipalities, invest in community libraries, and improve access to sport and recreation infrastructure in communities across the province. A major emphasis in this budget vote remains youth empowerment. We continue to position young people at the center of our interventions through school sports, literacy programs, arts development, creative incubation, and recreation programs. We remain convinced that investing in youth today is investing in Gauteng's long-term economic and social stability. The department remains equally committed to economic transformation and inclusive procurement. Through our procurement model, we continue to direct 40% of spend towards women, youth, enterprises, 30% towards youth-owned businesses, 7% towards persons with disabilities, and 30% towards military veterans. In addition, at least 60% of goods and services procurement will be directed toward township enterprises, reinforcing our commitment to local economic development and township revitalization. In the area of arts, culture, and heritage, we continue to strengthen the creative economy through targeted support for artists, crafters, and arts organizations. The department allocates 1 million towards creative incubation programs, 1.2 million for grants in aid, 2 million for arts and culture events, and 2.5 million for market access initiatives aimed at linking Gauteng creatives to local and international economic opportunities. Our heritage work remains central to preserving the identity and memory of our people. During this financial year, the department will declare 8 heritage sites and implement 20 national symbols awareness programs to deepen constitutional values, social cohesion, and public consciousness, particularly amongst young people. Libraries continue to play a strategic role in building a reading culture and bridging the digital divide. The department allocates 297.6 million towards library and archival services, including 194.8 million transferred to municipalities to sustain and modernize community library services. We are investing 2 million towards 160 computers for libraries and 5.1 million towards reading programs aimed at strengthening literacy across Gauteng communities. Sports and recreation remain a critical pillar of our work. The department allocates 324.1 million towards sport and recreation to expand grassroots participation, support community clubs, strengthen school sports, and develop future athletes. Through these programs, we continue to build discipline, resilience, and opportunity for thousands of young people across Gauteng. School sports continues to receive focused attention with support for over 400 schools participating in sports programs, 500 schools receiving sporting equipment and attire, and more than 600 learners supported to compete at provincial and national level. These programs remain essential in identifying and developing talent at an early age. The department also continues to strengthen community-based sport development through support for local clubs, leagues, sport academies, and increasing hubs. Our Learn to Swim program will train 1,500 participants this year, while our Tambo Sochini Games remains a major platform for community participation and social cohesion through sports. This preview reflects only a portion of the department's broader vision for the 2026-2027 financial year. The full budget vote speech will provide a more comprehensive breakdown of our plans, targets, and implementation strategies. Through this budget vote, we reaffirm our commitment to building a Gauteng where sport inspires excellence, arts create livelihood, culture strengthens identity, libraries expand knowledge, and heritage preserves the soul of our people. And I hope the copies of the full text for both budgets have been circulated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, MEC. Whilst MEC is the member of the Executive Council for both departments, these budget votes are read separately, but for the purpose of this media briefing, MEC has read summarized previews for both. Then we would now move to the section where we take questions and MEC and panel. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we will now move to the part where the MEC will take questions and respond with the panel, but still there is an opportunity after this press briefing, this local briefing, for members of the media to request for one-on-ones, for questions, and also want to welcome the members of the Orlando Pirates Football Club who have just joined us. MEC and the panel, let's now accept and take hands for questions. So it means you will raise your hand and your name and shoot. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, 1. You should have my mic.
Thank you. My name is Steven Siakwe, editor and publisher of Mapepeza community newspaper. 2 questions. The first is the allocation towards ICT computer equipment at libraries. We wanted to ask MEC, isn't that a redundant allocation because the Department of E-Government is responsible for the Gauteng broadband network, and they also have allocations towards expanding that network in public infrastructure, including libraries. So we've seen that department has also made an additional allocation towards such infrastructure and computers. We see the rationale for computers, but the one for expanding the network, which another department is responsible for, we just want to get clarity on that. And then secondly, it's regarding the 3.5 million, but that is for the emerging authors. Can we just get clarity on what type of authors are we referring to? Is it published authors or emerging book authors, or we're talking also people that are in the community media space, where we have local and online platforms that give communities voices. So we just want to get clarity on that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Bafedile from ENCA. MEC, we see that there is an increase in terms of the budget. It has been quite a difficult years in the past, where of course we understand that former Model C schools were affected in terms of the budget, which was cut with about 60%. Please talk us through in terms of how are you going to, intervene or assist, looking back into the fact that the parents have been crying foul to say that 60% cut was too much. And secondly, just for clarity, in terms of scholar transport, we know it's a serious issue. Do we have a budget for it, or does it go straight into the Department of Transport?
Yeah, Siyabonga Sithole, independent media. I just want for the MEC maybe to expand on the issue that he has raised in terms of the heritage sites. I think it's 7, if not 8, that are going to be unveiled. If he can basically expand on that and the importance thereof. And then also, I would like also for the MEC to reflect on the immigration and the impact that it might have, or it has, on education in terms of backlogs and infrastructure and overcrowding. Thanks.
It's Bongani Mdagani from the Sunday World newspaper. Greetings, MEC. I just need to understand something, MEC, when it comes to these independent schools, where the department is also assisting in terms of allocating budget to those schools. There is this challenge where these schools are kind of like suffering or struggling to get financial aid from the department. And in that regard, what is it that the department is going to do with that? Because when these schools are failing to get whatever allocation that they need to get from the department, it becomes impossible for the teachers and those kids to learn and all that. What is it that the department is doing to deal with the situation? On top of that, when it comes to sports, what is it that the department is going to do to deal with school sports? You know, way back we used to have football or rugby or whatever at our schools on Wednesdays. Is the department going to focus on that to encourage our kids to participate in sports, especially on Wednesdays, as it is a norm? That's where probably we develop those kids to become our future stars. Thank you.
Good morning, MEC. Nick Ele from College News. I've got 2 simple questions here. Can you give us an update as to, is private sector coming on board to assist in schools? Because I know there's one company which I'm always writing their stories. I think it's called Rectron. They roll out their ablution systems, and they put in computer science labs. So if you can just give us an update. Are they coming on board? And what is your message to those that are ignoring that? And then second question, you mentioned that the department allocated an earth-shattering 994 million towards grade R. I just need a clarity there. MEC, off late, in some schools, I don't know whether it falls under your ambit or they just do it independently. In some schools, there's grade R, there's grade RR, and there's grade RR. So can you just update us? Do they fall under the ambit of the government, or is it just something that they're doing for their school? Thank you.
Thank you, Baba. MEC.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. You combined both the sports and the education, which is fine. So, starting with Stephen, I want to give you an example. We've got a Department of Transport which has got what we call an entity called Government Garage. And we buy It's called G-Fleet. We buy cars through there. But every department still has a budget for buying of cars. It's just that we buy them through government garage. Just wanted to simplify the e-government story. So e-government does not only provide the broadband only. Yes, the bulk of the money we give them should be meant for schools and hospitals in the main and other services, but that money is not enough. So it's not a replication, it's about beefing up. And that's why one of the things we want to do with eGov is to look at how through a triple P, like we're doing in education, we can be able to combine resources and make sure that we have a big impact. The emerging, it's emerging others. So anyone who's emerging, remember, you are either established or you are emerging. So when you are emerging and you are trying to be in order, that program is meant for those people. You know, Bafedile, the issue, I know one of your editors has been pursuing, Faith, the issue of what she said is the cut to what you call former model schools. We have not cut anybody's budget. What has happened is that, and this might want me to give you a bit of a long story, because there was a time when the Department of Education in Gauteng had lots of money, and because of that, the department correctly believed that that money must go to schools. So we then gave schools more money than what they are supposed to receive, because there is what is called the norms and standards of funding for per learner in schools. So we were paying, I think, 3 times more per learner in Gauteng. And that was before everyone else refused to pay for e-tolls, for instance. So once everyone else started saying we're not paying for e-tolls, it means there was less money available in the public. And then the Department of Education budget was constrained. We now started seeing more learners. Every year you've got 50,000 more learners coming into the education system. And you now have to feed more kids. You have to provide more scholar transport. You have to provide, and that's why even today you still have some of the schools not having enough furniture, like desks and chairs and all that, because the money is not enough. It's a lot of money, but it's not enough. So when that happens, what do? You then say, we need to reprioritize. So in reprioritizing, we had to stick to what is called the norms and standards, because the norms and standards says that we must give a minimum of at least, I think, 315 rands per learner in a school. It costs us at least 25,000 rands to teach a learner in Gauteng. So we have not gone below that. We have not gone below that, but you've got certain schools who have tried to make this a political issue, and hence it was brought by some political party. If you will be in the debate, you'll hear I'm just going to attend to them properly because they don't know what they're talking about. So we have not reduced any money. We have just given every school what the norms and standards dictate that we should give them. Meaning there is no school that is receiving less than what the norms and standards dictate. Even the Minister of Education wrote a letter to the then MEC of Education asking for clarity, and she was clarified. And you know, me and her are not from the same political party. And she understands that the stance we took, it's a correct one, it's a responsible one because of the resources that we have. Otherwise, it means you might end up not having money to pay for other things like giving kids food in schools. You might not have money to pay salaries of educators. What do you do? So there is no cutting of the budget. And in fact, when you look at, and I have spoken about this regularly, that since 1995, the learner population in Gauteng until now has doubled from 1.4 million to 2.8 million, though that includes both the private and the public. But that's huge. But at the same time, our budget has increased by 1,600%, which shows the commitment of this government to improve the quality of education. Unfortunately, the increase in the budget of education has had a negative impact on the budget of other areas like sports. As you can see, we're not giving sports much. I was MEC of sports in 2010 to 2014. Their budget was $1 billion. 14 years later, their budget has not increased because we've been giving more money to education. So no one can accuse us of not providing enough money for education or prioritizing education. It's just that the problems are big, the problems are huge. And that's why I will deal with that question of foreign nationals in the schools as well. So the budget for scholar transport, we spend 1.7 billion every year. It's still not enough. It's not enough. Sometime in July, August, we will run out of that money because we've got a lot of kids who are being transported. So you're going to have a story soon that there's a strike of buses because we can't pay. But we are already working on that issue to look at it, doing multiple things. I'll speak about it someday about one of the things what we want to do. We're looking at the short term, and short term will mean further cuts in certain areas because then it means you've got two options: to cancel it completely or cuts. And if you were to cancel it, it will be disastrous because we've got kids who are living 5 kilometers away from the schools. And I think the details about the heritage sites will be unveiled, Siyabonga, which exactly. As you know, these are places of significance that have got a special place in the history of our country. So we will unveil them. And then I went to a school yesterday because I visit schools. Every week I visit at least 8 schools unannounced, because every week I have about 8 community meetings. I've had 29 community meetings already. I would have had 45 community meetings in the next 2 weeks. I will call you for a briefing because there are a lot of things that are coming up there which will require us to issue policy directives in certain areas. One of them is the issue of undocumented foreign nationals in the schools. There's a school which I will not release its name, where the principal was telling me that the parents come drop their kids there, and some of the parents have gone back to their countries, but they've left the kids there. So it's one of the issues we're dealing with. I don't want to, but something is going to be done. I just don't want to make the proposition that I have in terms of how we're going to deal with this, lest I'm confused with the people of March on March, something like that. But we want to take a drastic step within the legal means in terms of how we want to deal with this issue. It's a serious issue. I've already asked the Department of Education to provide me with the list of all the kids who are undocumented from the different countries who are in our schools, and the instruction of the courts that we must accept them. But we want to know their nationalities, their age, their details, and which schools they are at, and we want to look at what is the financial implications of having them in the system. We'll be dealing with that issue. So that is one issue I have asked. The second issue, which you have not asked, Siabong, is in relation to corruption in schools, which we have asked and we've received a report as well. It's coming up from the visits that we're having in the schools, in the communities. So those are some of the 2 issues that we will deal with. The Bongani Stole, I've dealt with the issue of the former model C schools, what you call former model C schools. No one is not getting money. The problem is that money is never enough. Everyone wants more. In schools, they want more because they've got big problems. They have big numbers of learners. We want more money, for instance, for human settlement, because we need to build 1.3 million houses. The budget we have can only afford to build 8,000 houses. We want enough money in transport because, as you know, there's a lot of potholes and everything. We must patch them. So everyone wants more money, and that's why everyone will always complain that it's not enough. But no one is not getting money. Fortunately, before I came here, I was MEC for Finance and Economic Development, so I made sure that I gave everyone money. So there's no one who will say they don't have money. The issue is how they use that money. And then, you will see when I read the statement, I didn't speak of Sports Wednesday. Someone was writing that they wrote Sport Wednesday. We don't, why Wednesday? Sports doesn't have to be played on Wednesday or Monday. It must be played every day. Why Wednesday? It's mentality yakudala. Wednesday wokudlalwa. When kids must play Monday to Sunday. When you go to elite private schools, on Saturdays, it's a hype of activity. So what is needed for kids to play? You need three things in the main. You need facilities, and in many communities where facilities have been built previously, they've been vandalized, unfortunately, by communities. That's one. Two, kids need equipment. They need sport gear. They need balls and cones and everything. That's the third thing they need. I mean, the second thing they need. And the third thing they need is to be organized either in clubs or in academies or in whatever form. But fourthly, the government does not run sports. Government does not run sports or arts and culture. That is run by 4 sports federations, by clubs, by academies. What government does, government coordinates, facilitates, creates a conducive environment, and help with availability of resources. That's what government must do. So even if you can have resources, we will make a huge announcement about sports in the next coming month or so in Gauteng about sport in schools. I was giving you numbers here about 500, 600 schools and all that. We want to give all the schools must have the equipment and all that. So there's a plan we're working on, which once it's finalized, we will be able to announce to you, including the facilities in sports. The schools have gone to their schools where they have enough space for sports facilities, but those spaces are not utilized. So for me, I don't believe in Wednesdays. I believe in playing every day. Kids must play every day, not only on Wednesdays. There's a reason why it was done Wednesdays previously, maybe, but private sector is coming on board. I think, Mr. Cele, there's a school that could not have classes for two months. They didn't have classes, so we had to speak to one of the companies to help renovate, and they've renovated them. I went to see Coach Sheikh Mashaba yesterday because he's not well, and there are certain things we needed the private sector to help. They've come to the party. We have just not spoken about those things in public, but it's the private sector that is coming to the party. It's not government. And I can state a lot of instances where the private sector is coming to the party. All we need to do is to coordinate. And that's why post these community meetings that I'm having after next week, we are lining up meetings with the private sector so that we can be able to avoid duplications. So grade R, and it's what is in the public education, grade R. Senior R. in certain schools. Yeah. Yeah, as long as they are as long as they are any child who's 4 years and above, it's part of the education system. 4 years. Ne? Yeah. 4 years and above. So it's part of the system. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And then today we had invited, he did not explain, we had invited not just Orlando Pirates because we will be accused of, we also invited Sundowns, but I see there's Orlando Pirates. I didn't see Sundowns colleagues. We also invited Orlando Pirates as the treble champions. And you know, the funny thing is that when I was MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture, then Pirates won the treble twice. When I left, their form dipped. Then I'm back, they win a treble. I don't know what it means. I don't know, I must ask the chairman, what does it mean? But we have the treble, the champions of our, and I hope you brought the trophy. Yeah, and the trophy should have been presented to us. In fact, I think, where is it? Please bring it. Yeah, please bring the trophy so that at least we might not have an opportunity that side to be presented with the trophy, because we said that, and we had asked Sundowns. So don't ask me where is Sundowns. I don't know. But we invited them. We invite everyone. Even chiefs, we invited. So don't ask. But we can take more questions if there's any, because we still have a bit of time.
We are the chair, MEC.
Yeah?
I'm chairing the MEC.
Chair, I'm saying take questions there. You are a slow chairperson.
Thank you very much.
So I'm helping you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Let's take a round of follow-up questions. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Let's go to number 1.
I will the question pile, and then that langa snap after, yeah. We'll take one picture after it, yeah. When the slow speaker.
I don't know. Is it fine? Okay. All right. Minjani. Enkomu MEC and yeah, every protocols observed. My name is Caroline Ricoto. I'm an author and I'm also a social worker by profession. I'm not sure if this is the correct place, MEC, but I just wanted to ask in terms of the social workers in schools. There are a lot of issues in schools that we see, but there are no social workers in school. So I'm not sure if it's your department or it's the social development department that is responsible for placing social workers in school, but I believe that the social issues that we really experiencing on a daily basis, if we had one social worker will not even do in one school. If we had more than one social workers that are placed in schools, when you go to schools, they will just say, no, the social workers only comes on Wednesdays, and there are issues. I've been working for NGO for quite some time, so I would only be in schools for the specific participants that will be under the programs that will be running. So can't we have social workers in schools that are there Monday to Friday and more than one? We would be able maybe to deal with some of these issues, bullying and teenage pregnancy and all those. Thank you.
Good morning. Yeah, all protocol observed. MEC. Oh, my name is Felicia Botelezi from Lighthouse Postcast, a media house for Lighthouse Association for Elson Schools. So, MEC, learners living with special needs exit the school system between the ages of 18 to 21, but have almost no public facilities pathway to continue the learning. What specific budget allocation does Gauteng Education have in the budget to create post-school placement options for those learners who are exiting the system? Okay, the second question and the last one is, we understand that the department allocates more funds for our schools, for our Elson schools. I would like to know from the MEC, what measures of accountability has the department put in place to ensure that the budget allocated for these learners used for what is allocated for? And also, the corruption within the department and the SGB is eliminated. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. MEC, I know one day, some few years back, you once told me that we should be the eyes of government as media. Now, against that backdrop, there's a public outcry from parents of learners with special needs. The story goes. Now, those learners, when they move on to FET colleges, they are always told that they need assessment referral letters. And to do that, you have to go to a private psychologist, which costs about 13.8. And then if you go to the district office, Gauteng district office, they are told that they can only issue that, they cannot issue that, they now fall under Department of Higher Education. So it's just a comment, MEC, and I'm trying to explain to you the problems. So I want to say to you, can the department look into this matter with spectacles of caution, because there's lots of kids with special needs that are sitting at home because they don't have those special assessment letters. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's Dana Malinga from Virtual Pulse News. The first one would be, are there any challenges that could affect the implementation? Secondly, if the budget were to be allocated accordingly and well, are there any tangible difference that are we to see in the next 12 months? Thank you very much.
MEC, quick one. Regarding sports infrastructure, especially stadiums, can the department give clarity on private sector wanting to adopt certain stadiums in townships, like SMS does, stadium management services? We'd want to just get clarity on that, because there's some township schools that are restricted by municipality, that they can only get endorsement from municipalities, but we see that stadium infrastructure is the periphery of the provincial department. So we just want to get clarity, who gives authority on the adoption or the full takeover of a certain stadium which is owned by the government when it's taken over by private sector? Just in the case of stadium management services, just in that model context, who gives authority? Is it provincial or is it local municipalities? Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, please forgive us. This alarm is for the legislature members to go inside. MEC, do you want to go in now or after the alarm? Do you want to go now?
Yeah, you know what? Let me start with this one, Stephen. The stadium management, you mean the ones that runs FNB and Orlando? Yeah. You know, I must say this. I think that's one of the I don't know how to say it. It's one of the I think it's one of the bad things that government would have done, because if you look at FNB and Orlando and Dobsonville, they are semi-privatized. So there is no reason why we can't give, because it's the municipality. There's no reason why municipality can't give Kaizer Chiefs or FNB Stadium to manage it and run it. Why it can't give Orlando Pirates, Orlando, and it doesn't have to be some middleman, privately owned company. There's no reason why when Swallows was still operating, there's no reason why they couldn't be given the Dobsonville. So in principle, there is nothing wrong with triple Ps. You can have triple Ps. There is nothing wrong. But it must not be at the detriment of our sports development. You know that the derby had to be postponed because there was a festival at the FNB Stadium. How do you postpone? That stadium is a soccer stadium. So means the most important thing and the priority must be soccer, not the festival. So it shows you, it's just that I don't like speaking on these issues as if we can't raise them elsewhere. We have raised this issue with the city of Johannesburg because those stadiums are owned by the city of Johannesburg. But they've been given, the stadium management long-term, and I think those who took that decision long time ago, they took a wrong decision, if you ask me. But it doesn't mean that you can't have, and maybe the model should have been different. The model. It can still be, I believe in triple Ps, but the model could have been different. And I don't know where will we find the model. These people are making noise. They don't want to finish. It's as if, yeah, so I don't have a problem in principle. And I will urge municipalities to continue with triple Ps, but the triple Ps must slant towards the teams, especially, and the communities, so that there is a balance. Because I understand why they would want to have a triple P, but you can't have a game as big as a derby being postponed because of a festival. And a lot of people don't know. They thought that it was postponed because Monday was a holiday. No, it's because there was a festival on Saturday, which is not proper. So we need to deal with that issue. The issue, you know, Oz Caroline. Okay, Oz Caroline. Yeah, you know, as I've said, and I deliberately made an example about human settlement. I'll make it again. In Gauteng, we need 1.3 million houses. People need 1.3 million houses. The budget we have, we can only build 8,000 houses. 8,000 houses. I'm just giving you a typical example. And you know why I'm giving you that example? I'm just showing you that there's a lot of demands, but the resources are minimal. So it's ideal that every school must have a social worker, but if I must choose between having a teacher and a social worker in a school, what do I prioritize? because a school is meant for teaching. So those are the issues we're dealing with. You know, the problem is that because sometimes we don't explain, an impression is that not government has got a lot of money. Government must provide social worker, must provide, build everybody a house, build everyone this, that, and all that. But unfortunately, that's not the case. I said, if you read in the budget of education is 70.9 billion. And I said 54 billion goes to salaries, 52 billion rand of that goes to educators. Just do your maths and see how much is left there. But even with that challenge, we are still able to have what we call psychosocial support in the districts, which is not enough. We've got 2,000 public schools, 2,111. When you add with the private schools, it's 2,300. So it means we might have to hire at least was to have a social worker. It's not possible. We don't have the money. That's why we work with the Department of Social Development. They also have a limited number, which is about, I think, 100, if not so. But you know what is important? Education and schools are a reflection of society. So what happens in society finds expression in school. So if there's a crime, you are not going to solve crime by bringing social workers in schools. You must solve crime by fighting it in society. And there are many other ways of fighting crime. You are not going to fight crime if you are not growing the economy. You are not going to grow the economy if you are not investing in the economy. But if you don't have money to invest in the economy, that is why I was giving you an example that we invest 70.9 billion in education. We invest 1 billion in sports. We invest 70 billion in education. We only invest 1.7 billion in economic development. It means we've got limited money to fund small businesses to be able to have economic activities, to build economic infrastructure. So if you are government, you tell me what do? Do you then say we are going to cut education money by 10 billion so that we can fund small businesses? We're going to cut them with another 5 billion so that we can build stadiums and all that. And what then happens? So these are competing priorities. These are realities of governance. And that's why you hear everyone talking when it's elections saying, we will do this, vote for us, do that. None of them will do all those things. Because they don't have an appreciation and understanding. None. And I don't want to talk politics. Just give me one party. Others tried, they went to Tshwane, they governed, others went Western Cape. Go to Western Cape and see what's happening. Because it's difficult, it's not easy. You have to balance these things, but it's a discussion that I would want us to continuously help and see how. But we've got NPOs, for instance, who want to help, who are there. But even with NPOs, you can't just have everyone just coming in, because some of the people are predators. They are pretending to be social workers, and they are rapists and all that. So we are dealing with a lot of things, to be government, it's very difficult. And I always say education is like soccer. Everybody has an opinion. There's no one who will tell you what must the coach not do, why, and they will tell you if we had played this one, we would have done that. Even in education, it's like soccer. Everybody has an opinion. And if you can ask all of us here who must play against South Korea on Thursday, I can tell you we all have opinions here. Whether we are professionals or we are qualified to do that, that's something else. But even in education, it's very difficult because if you bring a child from home that's dysfunctional, for instance, who's rude, who's uncontrollable, doesn't matter how many social workers we have, we need to fix the society. That's why I say it takes the village to raise a child, and it helps. But I understand where you come from. We're going to have, and it's the same issue as the learners with special education needs. You know, I have a budget for learners from grade R until grade 12. That's the budget I have. That's what I have. That's the budget I'm given. Then there's a budget for vocational training, and there's a budget for higher education. So I'm talking to you about the budget that it's allocated for this. But having said that, we will not say there's nothing we can do for the LSENs beyond the ages of 18 and 21. That's why one of the things we're going to do is to have a special day for the ECD sector and is it not special, open day, and the learners with special needs to discuss with parents, because those learners are very, very, very important for society, and we have to make sure that we take care of them. So we will deal with that. But there is a budget allocated for them currently. And then I did say that I will deal with the issue of corruption, SGBs, accountability, and all that. We've got a list about 30 schools that I've identified where there's been mismanagement of monies, and where in certain instances a principal or somebody has been fired. And I said I don't just want them to be fired, I want them to be arrested. Firing is not enough. So I want to meet with the public prosecution, the police, and then we want them to help us deal with these issues, so that there's an incident of a principal who withdrew 400,000 of the school cash from the bank, a principal of the school, cash, and they just fired the principal. It's a school in Katlehong. I said, I want that principal arrested. We can't just fire people. You can fire, you can steal 400,000, and then you start a tavern and succeed, but you are outside. You need to be inside. You must be in jail. And then it's the same issue, Mr. Cele, on the issue of the assessment, that we have this, but we will not say we are not going to leave it and not do something. And it might be that as these kids get out of the system, that assessment is done as they get out, so that and we have to see how we work with social development. And then, Mr. Malinga, there will be a lot of challenges. There's crime, there's violence, drugs, there's a lot of things. What are the tangible things? One of those is matric results, and not just the overall percentage. Look at the number of what you call this, bachelors that we get, how many girl learners pass, maths, science. So in education, it's clear there's a lot of all those. So I dealt with the issue of the stadium, Stephen. I'm sure we're done. We'll invite Pirates for the trophy, and then the rest of the things we can take it from there. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Colleagues, please be reminded to not share the statement until the MEC delivers it. Thank you. We have adjourned.
to.